Less is more. No, more is more, especially in cars. Don't you want more for your money? More quality, more numbers, more effort and engineering? Well, I do. Hey everyone, Stipe here with the top 7 most over-engineered cars ever made. Let's go!
Number 7.
In the 90s, Japan gave us the first smartwatch, the function-infested Casio, as well as the equally smart car, the Mitsubishi DTO. When it first came out in the 1990s, the Big Mitsu was probably the most advanced car the world had ever seen. Pretty much everything on it was electronically controlled, and that was a lot to control too. Windows, sunroof, pop-up headlights, but also a lot of stuff that was way ahead of its time. Like the exhaust system, which opens the flaps for a louder experience, or the suspension, which goes hard or soft whether you want to race or just cruise along, or the active aerodynamics. At the press of a button, your car could wave at people. There was a convertible too, with a fully motorized folding hardtop, second car in history to ever have that. Plus the rear axle steering to make it even more agile. And remember, this was all 30 years ago. Many sports cars don't even have that now. But there was a downside to all this. Weight. Mitsubishi DTO was a chunk. The twin-turbo V6, four-wheel drive, and all that tech can get you only so far before much lighter rivals start to pull away. Still a great car.
Number 6.
Ah yes, the only vehicle I can think of that was used by train killers, as well as the head of a religion, the G-Wagon.
Some people don't actually know this, but the G-Class was first developed as an army vehicle. As such, it was tough, rugged, and thanks to a unique 3-way differential, pretty much unstoppable.
The body on a frame chassis also meant that you could easily fit a different cabin too.
Like the one with a machine gun turret, with thicker armor, with flatbed,
or a body with just some comfort features.
That's basically how the civilian version was created. This recipe worked so well that the first-gen G-Wagon lasted up to 2018. Same 1979 car, just endlessly updated, with much better tech and more comfortable interior. As for the new one, well, it's just the same. Still a luxury box, sitting on a capable chassis. But it was the off-road capabilities that made it such a standout machine. The G-Wagon can cut through waters 60 centimeters deep, easily climb a 45-degree slope, or drive side-tilted by up to 55 degrees. With some chunkier tires, you could probably climb the Everest. Too bad that the highest peak today's G owners will ever climb is a sidewalk. So in that sense, it is massively over-engineered for the task.
Number 5.
Weight, or rather the lack of it, is the thing that makes every MX-5 such a joy to drive. Now, you think that making a lighter car is easy, just throw the seats out, but how do you make a properly modern, safe, and fully equipped 2020 MX-5 that's no heavier than the minimalistic first generation from 1989? Well, by using what Mazda calls the Gram strategy. It's a method of shaving weight from every component without compromising its function. Let me give you a few examples.
The plastic casing for the rear view mirror is thinner than in regular cars.
The pedals have holes drilled in them. Anti-roll bars are hollowed out.
And the gear stick is no bigger than an average Japanese Johnson.
What couldn't be shaved off was made of lighter materials, like aluminum. This includes the trunk lid, engine block, wishbones, and more. Hell, even the bolts used in this car have been modified to weigh less. Now, if that's not over-engineering, I don't know what is. Turning a car anorexic improves the dynamics, fuel efficiency, CO2 emissions, performance. It's win, win, win. And it's not just about getting rid of mass, but also distributing it to achieve that perfect 50-50 weight balance. That takes skill and engineering. Lots of it. I cannot wait for the next gen to see what else they'll shave off.
Number 4.
The best way to describe this car is a Titanic for the road. Huge size, huge luxury, and of course, a huge price. At the time, the Grosser was the most expensive new car ever.
It cost more than any Rolls or Ferrari or anything else.
This grand Mercedes is what you get when you decide to build the best car in the world and then let your engineers go crazy, because money is no object.
It's not about money. It's about sending a message.
The result is one of the most advanced and complicated cars ever. The things that they came up with back in 1963 is still ahead of most cars Mercedes sells today. Like the self-leveling air suspension, whose stiffness can be adjusted at the press of a button, or the option to equip it with a fridge, a phone, or a TV. Central locking and disc brakes all around were a novelty at the time too. And then there was the fact that everything was hydraulically operated. Press a button to adjust the seats, control the windows, the sunroof, automatically open and close the doors, as well as the trunk lid. But be careful, the hydraulic system operates at 2100 psi. Those tires are only pumped to 35, so imagine the forces that those windows can exert. Enough to use them as guillotines. No wonder every dictator liked it so much.
Number 3.
It may not look like it, but the VW XL1 actually is a production car. Only 250 of them were ever made, which is still way more than all the Koenigseggs combined, and yet no one ever talks about these. Shame, because the XL1 is very special. It is, in fact, the most fuel-efficient car ever made, which can travel 100 kilometers on just 1 liter of fuel. That's 260 miles per gallon. That is insane. To achieve such numbers, the whole car has been streamlined to have as little air resistance as possible. Every line, every crease, the wheel covers, rear view cameras, narrower body, narrower tires, hidden wipers, it all adds up to aero efficiency of only 0.189, a record that stands even today. Its twin-cylinder diesel hybrid aside, the XL1 is built like a supercar. It is mid-engined. All body panels are made of carbon fiber, and so is the monocoque cell. Wheels are magnesium. Brakes are ceramics. In fact, only 23% of it is made of steel. It's also lower than the Lamborghini Gallardo, has 7-speed dual clutch, butterfly doors, and a supercar asking price. But you should be lucky to pay that much, because from everyone who showed their interest, buyers were ultimately selected at random. It was a lottery to spend money, not to win it. Lastly, it took longer to develop the XL1 than the Bugatti Veyron. I guess it's harder to make a car that will go the furthest rather than the fastest.
Number 2.
3 things happened in the 80s. Michael Jackson invented the moonwalk, your boy Stipe was born, and Toyota started a war against the Germans with this, the Lexus LS-400. During the development, the car had to achieve crazy and often conflicting goals, but also unlimited time and unlimited money was given to meet them. The LS would be able to drive 155 miles per hour while sipping fuel and being no louder than a refrigerator. Basically, faster, nimbler, quieter, more comfortable, more aerodynamic, and more fuel efficient than any of its German rivals. 4,000 people worked on this project. $1 billion was spent in development. 450 test mules were made, and together they covered over 2.7 million miles. I mean, who does that? Toyota, being mostly known for producing small, affordable cars, also had to do a complete conceptual shift when it comes to engineering. Take radio, for example. The one that comes from Corolla is perfectly fine, but is it really the best it can be? Also, does this fit a luxury car? In the end, LS400 didn't share any part with any other car. It was a bespoke vehicle which, soon after its release, became the best-selling luxury car in the US, better than the Germans. The Lexus chief engineer said it best, "I couldn't compromise. If I did, then it would just be a normal vehicle."
It's true.
Number 1.
Here's a few things you may not have known about the Veyron. It cost $5 million to make the car, but they sold it for just $1 million. Many components were developed using airplane technology because nothing else on the road was ever subject to such forces. 1,000 horsepower and 250 mile-per-hour figures were so outrageous at the time that most journalists dismissed them as a joke.
So we're going to make a supercar that's got 1,000 horsepower, which sounds great, but they haven't yet worked out how such a thing might be possible.
They just said it.
They just said it.
But the fact that is least talked about is just how normal the Veyron feels. People used to make faster and more powerful cars in their garages long before this came out, but none of them were as reliable and as easy to use as the Bugatti. That's what makes this so special, driving 250 miles per hour without sparks flying around, the deafening noise, and the feeling that the thing is barely holding it together. It can also do 250 miles per hour across the Arctic or Sahara Desert without a problem. Then it can do it again and again and again until it runs out of fuel. No need to rebuild the engine after every run. And once you're done trying to overtake a bullet, the Veyron settles down and drives like a normal car. Quiet, reasonably comfortable, and with a dose of luxury too. Having such opposing car personalities that don't interfere with one another is the car's most impressive achievement. Bravo, Bugatti. Bravo. Alright, can you guess these 3 additional over-engineered cars? Did you guess them? Write down in the comments, vote here which topic I should do next, and we'll see you in the next one.